What is the creepiest missing person case you know about? The disappearance of Fred Valentich. He was a pilot who set off from a Melbourne airport on a training exercise over Bass Strait. He never arrived at King Island. What makes it creepy? That he radioed in that there was a strange craft following him, and the last piece of communication was a metallic scraping sound. Experts said that he was disorientated and was flying upside down and seeing the lights from his own craft on the water, but his Cessna he was flying could only fly upside down for a few seconds before stalling. They have never found him or his craft. The case of J.C. Lee Duguid has always fascinated and mortified me. 11-year-old girl kidnapped on her way to school in 1991. In 2009, she turns up alive. Turns out, married couple kidnapped her and kept her in a series of sheds in their backyard for 18 years as a sex slave. During this time the man impregnated her twice, and she had 2 kids, 11 and 15, when the 3 of them were finally rescued. These kids had never seen the outside world and all they knew were what she was able to teach them with her own limited knowledge. Thankfully, she was reunited with her parents and last known to be focusing on raising her kids and generally staying as private as possible with her life. This might get buried, but my grandfather has been looking for his sister since 1956. Just left one day before she turned 18 and never made contact again. At one point he went to Idea Jane Doe. Doesn't speak much about that, but has continued to look since, so more than likely wasn't her. Got close a couple of times, but records are a little hard to verify at this point. There's a famous Japanese case where a mother said she's going to meet an old classmate, left the house leaving an 18-month-old baby behind, and never came back. What was really creepy about it was, when the husband was being interviewed on TV, there was a memo on the wall that said, "Don't believe in anything Yoko says." Yoko was the name of the missing lady's sister. My brother-in-law's uncle was driving to work, and they found his truck with all his belongings, except clothes, still running on the side of the road. No sign of him. Just gone. Weird personal one for me. In my senior year of high school, 3 teenage girls from my area disappeared. All of the cases were unrelated and happened within a month of each other. 2 of them are as old now. First girl left a party and never made it home. It was discovered later that she was drunk and had driven off the road and into a lake. Second was a mentally disabled girl who vanished from her home. I think the parents probably killed her, but no one has been arrested or charged. She's still just missing. Third was a girl who never came home one night. Apparently she went to a trailer park to buy drugs, but the couple tied her up and kept her in a kennel for 2 months, raping her multiple times over that period of time. They eventually got caught cause they invited a friend over and offered to let him have a go. When he left he called the police, who rescued her. All these disappearances happened in the matter of weeks though, and the local news was abuzz with theories. It was really disturbing at the time to have that stuff happening in my community. For me, the creepiest is the disappearance of a Canadian boy named Michael Dunahy, then aged 4. He vanished from a school playground with his parents close by and there no witnesses. A girl in my grade, when I was in grade 6, was reportedly missing after having an argument with her mom in the parking lot of a grocery store. Security cameras were checked, and they found out the mother had lied about that. After several days we found out that the mom had strangled her with twine, pulled her pants off to make her look like she was raped, and threw her by a lake. Disturbing stuff. There were only about 30 people in my grade, so it was a close-knit community. Edit. It turns out it was because the mom's boyfriend at the time gave her an ultimatum. Great guy. Edit 2. Actually he may not have given the ultimatum, and to my understanding wasn't charged. Mom's evil though, and in prison for life. Edit 3. Also apparently the last words, "Mommy don't," will forever resonate in the mother's head while she's in jail for the rest of her life. This is such a twisted story. This girl who was working alone got dragged out of gas station, all seen on camera. The footage was so bad they couldn't figure out who it was, so they put out a message in the paper with his coat description. Someone eventually says their janitor always wears that coat. They go to the guy's house and search non-stop over and over again. They find a single burnt tooth in the backyard. It would have been inconclusive, but the girl had gone to a dentist conference and got a just on the market filling that only like 2 people in the world had. So they caught him. Edit. Holy moly, thanks for the upvotes. Just to add to the story, a girl caught a partial license plate as the guy drove past a park, but his car was registered under the wrong color, so they couldn't find the car. Oh yes, this was a Forensic Files episode, and the technology back in those days wasn't what is today. My town got hit by 2 huge storms early this year. Tornado/strong winds. A 2-year-old child was the only person reported missing after the storm. What makes it so weird is the parents nor any family were able to provide a single picture of the child. No body has been found, and the birth certificate shows the kid should have actually been 3, not 2 like the parents claimed. There's 3 theories. 1. The child never existed, and the parents were just trying to capitalize on a tragic event with false documents. 2. The child actually died long before the storm, and it was used as a convenient excuse. Or 3. The child was swept away by the storm and the parents are just that shitty to never have taken a photo of their son. The case of Johnny Gosh in Des Moines. Watch Who Took Johnny on Netflix. He was a paperboy who disappeared during his route. Many think he got kidnapped into a child sex trafficking ring run out of Omaha, which many politicians and other famous people were involved with. Weirdest part is his mom admitted that he came to visit her once, years after he disappeared. The Schultz family from Dridgen, Lower Saxony. Husband Marco, 41 at the time, his wife Sylvia, 43 at the time, and their daughter Miriam, 12 at the time, went missing from their home in Dridge on the 22nd July 2015. Nowhere to be found. Marcus' body was found a week later in the Elbe River. He had a concrete block attached to his legs with a rope. Sylvia and Miriam though remain unfound to this day. Their house was just emptied of all their personal belongings and everything. It will be sold. The money will be put in a secure bank account until they find out who will inherit it. Sylvia can't be pronounced dead yet, earliest in 8 years from now on, 10 years after her disappearance. Miriam on the other hand can't be pronounced dead until she is 25. That is the law here in Germany. Many people believe that either the dad killed his wife, daughter, then himself. Others believe mother and daughter are alive. Who knows though, we may never know. A local one for me, but the case of Dakota James. TLDR, a Pittsburgh college student named Dakota James goes missing. Police say he fell in the river. City residents disagree. A bunch of guys went missing around that time, and they all had the same gay dating app on their phone. In India we use gas cylinder for the stoves to cook stuff, and they need to be refilled every 3 weeks or so. The refill company sends cylinder trucks to remote areas. This time my aunt missed the truck and she sent my cousin to near town 10 kilometers to refill it. My cousin, 17 meters at that time, left on his bike and never came back. No evidence of him, nothing at all. Police dropped the search after a year and family stopped after like 5 years. He just vanished that day, almost 20 years now, and my aunt is still waiting for his return. My second cousin disappeared in a storm at sea. He was in Lightcraft Island hoping in far north Queensland. His father went out for 3 years searching the islands for a trace of him. They found him living native with a local woman as his wife on a small island out PNG way. He wasn't living castaway style. He had a radio and contact with Australia. He said he told everyone not to worry before he set out. He came back to the mainland shortly after and became a home eco teacher in a Christian Brotherhood school. Then got into a court case for the right to wear a lap skirt at his work. So, Queensland for you. Johnny Gosh. Kid gets kidnapped while doing his morning paperboy route and more than likely forced into sex slavery for pedophiles. Mother claims that Johnny visited her at night 15 years later, talked with her for an hour while another man watched, and then vanished again. 10 years later, a manila envelope shows up on her doorstep with pictures of Johnny bound and gagged. The rabbit hole goes much deeper, especially if you get into Paul Banaxi and the Franklin cover-up, but that's the skinny. Davina Chapman is from my hometown, where she went missing. She was last seen at a bar one night and her fiancé reported that she never came home. They searched 4 days before the fiancé asked the police to search a certain area where her body was found. What happened? Her and her fiancé got in a fight at the bar, and he was taking her home when she started yelling and freaking out in the truck from their fighting, and he pulled over on the bridge they were on. They both got out, and he smacked her around until tossing her off the bridge into the muddy swamp below. She was alive for a while after that, because the police found a short trail where she tried to crawl. Apparently he hit her so hard in her face that an eye was bulging out almost completely. It's a really sad thing to think that Davina laid there for a long time, dying. Edit. Upon further research, the eye was a result of the fight before she was thrown off the bridge. He thought he killed her, but she was only incapacitated. My sister. Ending is positive she went missing during high school. She started hanging with the wrong crowd, got into drugs and just disappeared one day. 2 years went by, not a word. Then one day, my mom spotted the truck of the guy she was seeing when she went missing. It was parked at a hotel. We have a few police in our family, so they went to check it out. Sure enough, it was her with the scummy guy. Guy was wanted, went to jail. Sister went to rehab. She is now a college grad, clean for over 10 to 15 years. Has 2 beautiful kids and a genuinely great husband. She is a living success story. My mom's friend's son has been missing since November. Kid's 13 and has epilepsy, and his mom has been very shifty in her statements about it. It's just creepy to me, because this is someone I know, who is either dead or hid. There's just no way the kid's been out in the wilderness living this entire time. This isn't Hatchet. Holy shit, I did not expect so many people to see this. I commented it later down in the thread, but I'll add it here too. Don't witch hunt the kid's mom. Everyone in my city has been doing it since November, and in the scenario that she is innocent, she's probably haunted by this. Her own son is gone, and she's the prime suspect, and considering she is so obviously the prime suspect, don't you think the police would have found something out had she done it? I know everyone would like to believe they are Sherlock Holmes, but please, don't start a vigilante investigation. It won't help. Just put all efforts into finding him, not attacking his mother. Edit 2. For anyone who might still see this, bones were found that are almost guaranteed to be his. Think the search is over, guys. Very coincidental that they found them a day after this too. Pretty famous, but Henry McCabe. The most bizarre thing about his disappearance is the voicemail that was left, though. It had all sorts of noises, where people speculate it could have been the sound of waterboarding or getting tased. His family also apparently misled the police a few times, and his friends, who were last seen with him, made a series of poor decisions which led to the disappearance. It was also odd that the FBI got involved in all this. As I said earlier, the creepiest thing I find is the voicemail of strange sounds that he left that no one can identify. Apparently there were a few recordings of it posted on the internet, yet no one can find the full audio anymore and only bits and pieces. I want to say William Tyrrell. He disappeared while playing hide and seek in the yard at his grandparents' house. Not creepy as such, but someone knows something. HTTP, Wes William. Org. Another one is the disappearance of the Australian Prime Minister Harold Holt, who disappeared while swimming. By all accounts was a great swimmer and very experienced in the ocean. Wikipedia. org/wiki/Harold Holt. Christopher Kurz. In 1989, at the age of 17, Christopher vanished. The day he disappeared, his family received a mailed letter from Duluth, Minnesota, telling his parents that he couldn't explain why he was doing what he was doing. His van was later found hours away with a note detailing whose it was. He was never found. Based on the story, I'm thinking suicide or he just walked away. He had been struggling a bit prior to the events and only took out $200 before disappearing. His van was left at a rest stop outside a heavily wooded area, but multiple searches found nothing. They believe he may have hitchhiked to another area. Possible he was murdered, took his own life, or got caught up in the homeless lifestyle and is still alive, but a vagabond living on the streets. Weird story, though, with how easy he vanished. So a lawyer disappeared in my city, Duque de Caxias, Rio de Janeiro state, Brazil. He was a cousin of a guy I knew from high school, and he was posting a lot about it on Facebook. Meanwhile, I used to pass right in front of this very badly kept building in my way to my psychologist once per week and noticed there was now a wall in the top floor from which I could see a fan. Didn't pay much attention to which. Sometime later, police following an anonymous call found the missing lawyer had been killed by one of his clients because of a debt, and the killer lived in that building. He has hidden the body in a gap between two walls, and the hole with the fan was there because it was starting to smell and he was trying to vent the smell out. There is something very creepy for me from thinking that I was walking just below where the body was for months and has no idea, all while the guy's family were going crazy after him. TL. Doctor used to pass in front of a building frequently without knowing the body of missing person I knew was hidden there all this time. There's a couple girls that went missing in a town not too far from where I live. The kids were taking a walk across this railroad bridge. They were taking Snapchat videos as they were walking. As they neared the middle of the bridge, they turned and noticed a man following them onto the bridge. They got him on video. You could tell dude had malicious intent. They went missing shortly after they took the video. Sad stuff. They still haven't been found. It's been brought to my attention that their bodies were found shortly after they went missing. Evidently the killer is still on the loose. This was in Delphi, Indiana.